Have you ever heard of a place called Grapetown? Well, they called the place Grapetown for a reason. It's because they grew the best grapes and they made the best wine. So today I'm going to tell you a story about Grapetown. The Big Barrel of Wine by Rabbi Zalman Gostein. Well, the city of Grapetown is a very interesting city indeed. People came from all parts of the country and from faraway places just to buy their delicious wine. As hard as they tried, the winemakers of other cities just couldn't make their wine taste as good as the wine made in Grapetown. Grapetown was a merry town, and so were all the people of Grapetown who earned their living there by making their special delicious wine. They were all known as the merry winemakers. That is, until one day something very strange happened, and Grapetown wasn't all that merry again. Early one morning there was some excitement in the city. A large crowd had gathered in the center of the marketplace. They were waiting for the royal messenger who was to bring them an important message from His Majesty the King. Finally, the messenger arrived. Hear ye, hear ye! In 10 days' time, His Majesty the King is going to visit your city, the city of Grapetown. His Majesty has heard so much about the famous merry winemakers of Grapetown and the delicious wine you produce. Therefore, the King would like to honor you with a royal visit. Now, you can imagine how excited all the people of Grapetown became when they heard the King himself was going to honor them with a royal visit. Immediately, they all gathered into the town hall to decide how to plan a grand welcome befitting for His Majesty the King. Everyone offered ideas and suggestions to make the grand welcome in a most impressive manner. It didn't take long, and the winemakers came up with an idea. They decided to build a very large barrel in the center of the marketplace, and it was to be more than 25 feet tall. It would be decorated in a most artistic manner with colorful flowers and beautiful ornaments, and at the bottom of the gigantic barrel there would be a large golden faucet. I wonder what they were going to put in this big barrel. Well, it turns out they were going to put wine in it, of course. Everyone was ordered to bring 1 gallon of wine and pour it into the big barrel. When the king would arrive, they would lead him to the huge barrel of wine and honor him to be the first one to turn the golden faucet on and fill his cup with their delicious wine. As soon as the gigantic barrel was built and decorated from top to bottom, a tall ladder was placed at the side of the barrel so that everyone could climb up to the top to pour in their gallon of wine. Now, everything seemed to be going along pretty well until something very tragic happened. In the city of Grapetown, there was a barber by the name of Getzel. He was so anxious to be the first one to pour in the first gallon of wine. But he was about to fill his bottle with wine. He thought to himself, my wine is valuable to me, and it would be foolish to give it away. What would happen if I would pour in plain water instead of wine? I don't think anyone would be able to tell the difference. After all, everyone else will be pouring in a full gallon of wine into the barrel. So Getzel the barber filled his bottle with plain water, and when no one was watching, emptied it into the big barrel. Well, that wouldn't have been so tragic if it was only Getzel who poured in water instead of wine. But alas, Beryl the butcher, Chain the tailor, Herschel the shoemaker, and Zelig the locksmith all came up with the same greedy plan. They too poured in plain water instead of wine. The crowd was hushed to a perfect silence as the king reached out and placed his golden cup under the golden faucet. Slowly the king turned the faucet, and you can guess what happened. Instead of delicious wine, out came plain, simple water. Oh, how embarrassing! Oh, how awful! How would the governor and all the citizens of Grapetown explain what had happened? Indeed, the merry winemakers of Grapetown were no longer merry. They now had to live with the consequences of their dishonest actions for many, many years. This story teaches us some important lessons. If there's a task given to you, make sure to do it in the best possible manner. Don't make the mistake of saying, someone else will do it, for the next person might say the same thing, and the deed will never get done. Taking shortcuts through our obligations usually ends in failure instead of true success. Do it the right way. Do it right away, and do it well.